One of the most difficult questions that rabbis can get, and more often actually, it's a question that rabbis themselves have to deal with, is the question of whether or not a Jew is allowed to walk into a church. This is possible in the case of someone at work who lost a loved one, and the funeral's in a church, or they're getting married in a church. Or as a rabbi, sometimes I myself get invitations to attend an interfaith event inside a church. And the answer is that despite the fact that Jews are obligated to show respect, courtesy, and kindness to everyone, regardless of their religion, Jews are not allowed to go into a church because the church is a place of worship, and Jews are not allowed to worship anything but God, and so there's no way for a Jew to go into a church. Another issue is that a person is not allowed to benefit from avodah zarah, and so if you go into a church, it also has that problem. The same applies to going into the Vatican. The sculptures and statues that are made in the Vatican are made for religious purposes, so it would have the problem of benefiting from avodah zarah. Another problem of going into a church is mar'it ayin. If a person goes in there, it can seem as if they agree to that, or they're participating in worship of something other than God. In general, Jews are forbidden from engaging in anything that has to do with avodah zarah, and actually not in general, across the board. And so going into a church, into the Vatican, or into any kind of service inside a church is forbidden. It's interesting that there's one exception to this, and that is in a case of pikuach nefesh. If it's a real threat to one's life, meaning the only way to save your life is going into the church, the Shulchan Aruch rules that it's permitted. And so, yeah, in a case of pikuach nefesh, where someone, let's say, puts a gun to your head and says, go into the church or die, even though in general the rule of if someone puts a gun to your head and says, worship avodah zarah or die, a Jew is obligated to give their life not to serve other religions or avodah zarah. In this case of them just telling you to go into a church, it is permitted, and I think it's something that is understandable because we're a different religion, but at the same time it's important that even though we can't go into a church under any circumstance, we show respect for everyone regardless of what religion they belong to. It's interesting that to go into a mosque is permitted according to halacha because Muslims worship one God, and so there's no issue of avodah zarah, and it's even permitted to, if a person has to pray mincha or arvit or shachrit, they're allowed to go even into a mosque. But regardless of who it is, we always need to be kind, respectful, and gracious to whoever it is that we may see. Thank you so much for listening.